Welcome to How to Cake It. This week is the fiercest battle of all time. Canada Day is around the corner. Independence Day is right after that. I couldn't choose, guys, so we're gonna have a red, white, and cake off on How to Cake It. Ready? I can speak as a Canadian and tell you that every time Canada Day rolls around, it makes me think of the beginning of summer. And you know what's great in the summer? Camp!
Good segue, yo.
Thank you. Camp Cake registration is open. It's a live stream baking event where you bake with me in the comfort of your own kitchen from anywhere in the world that you are. For 2 days, we are gonna be baking together in real time. I'm gonna do an emoji cake and some watermelon cake slices. Head to howtocakeit.com or I'll put all the details below. Head to howtocakeit.com and sign up. Now back to the red, white, and cake off.
You're really liking that, aren't you?
I love it. I love this. This is excellent. First up is Canada, and Canada is entering this race with a poutine cake. I believe the proper pronunciation is poutine. For my poutine cake, I baked 2 pounds of my chocolate cake batter in a 9-inch, really nice disposable cake pan that I found. Now I need to make my French fries, which are actually going to be sugar cookie French fries. Sugar cookie dough is quite simple. You beat butter and sugar, and then you add an egg and some flour and some baking powder. And to this, I did add a little bit of ivory food coloring because I wanted my fries to look like twice fried. I pour the dough out onto my butcher block and I just finish it off by kneading all the little bits together. I really like to roll out my sugar cookie dough on a non-stick silicone baking mat and then with a piece of parchment on top. I'll put a link below where you can get one of those mats. And then I place that sheet of dough onto a tray and put it in my fridge to chill. The dough really needs to chill for about 4 hours, and once it's ready, it's time to cut our fresh cut fries. To cut my fries, I use a sharp chef's knife.
A sharp chef knife. I love sharp chef knives.
Sharp chef's knife, and I cut strips all along the dough in one direction that are the thickness that's the same height as the dough was rolled out. Then I take each one of those strips and cut 2 or 3 fries from them. I don't want these fries to be even. Obviously, a potato is round. So when you cut it into fries, they're not all the exact same length. Make sure to leave room in between your sugar cookie French fries so that they don't all bake together. You want to bake your French fries at 350 degrees for about 10 to 15 minutes until they're nice and golden brown at the edges, just like fries would be. Once your French fry cookies are completely 100% cool, I used a little bit of brown and yellow color dust mixed together, and I just painted it onto the edges and corners of the fry with a light paintbrush just to sort of bring out some more caramelization. Double fried fries.
Perfect. Okay,
I'm having a moment.
Oh, sorry.
For the gravy for my poutine, I am making my favorite maple syrup caramel. As my caramel is cooling, I'm gonna add 1 teaspoon of cocoa to it, which means even more flavor and it looks more like gravy. The last component of my poutine cake is cheese curds, which I'm gonna make out of modeling chocolate. Modeling chocolate is just corn syrup and white chocolate melted together. I'll put a link below which leads you to my blog where I will describe how you can make your own. To assemble this poutine cake, I took a cake dowel and I poked holes all around that cake. Like I literally just, and then I poured that maple caramel on top of the cake so it would fill those holes and leave a nice layer of maple caramel right on the surface. I start to lay my fries in every direction. I even break a couple. Oh, I was just wild. And then I take my modeling chocolate cheese curds out of the fridge, fill in all the little gaps with some modeling chocolate cheese curds, and then I pour on the maple caramel. Oh yeah, girl, I'm maple caramel. And I'm just gonna pour myself over your sugar cookie fries. This will be the sweetest poutine you ever had, girl. How can Canada not win this cake off? And that is the Canadian entry for this red, white, and cake off. It is interesting that I also will be making the American entry. But Let's do this. America's entry into the Red, White, and Cake Off will be a good old-fashioned apple pie cake. To make my apple pie cake, I begin by making 6 pounds of Yo's Ultimate Vanilla Cake batter, and I divide it between 2 9-inch round pans, but first I sprinkle a sugar and spice mixture in the middle of the batter. Sugar, cinnamon, and freshly grated nutmeg. I do this in my peach blueberry upside down cake. There's a link below. You should check out that video. It's absolutely delicious. While your cakes are cooling, you can take the time to prepare your apples for this pie. Yes, I'm actually putting apples in it because I love apples and I love them even more when they're sauteed. Then I melt some butter in a frying pan over medium-high heat and add my apples and begin to saute them until they start to soften. Once the apples have sauteed for about 5 to 10 minutes, sprinkle on some brown sugar and cinnamon and stir and let them continue to saute. We really want to brown and caramelize these apples so they look like and taste like they've been baked in a pie. They'll take about 30 minutes in total to cook. Once you're done, pour them out into a clean bowl and let them cool completely while you decorate your cake. Speaking of completely cool, our cakes should be completely cool by now. I'm going to remove them from their pans, level them, and cut off the caramelization from the bottom. You have to see the beautiful sugar and spice. You can see it swirled. So Sir Squeeze-A-Lot came out for America. Showered those 2 cakes with simple syrup and just ignored the poutine. He's clearly threatened by caramel. I felt like he over syruped a little. You know what I mean? Now I'm gonna fill these cakes keeping in mind that this cake will be flipped. You know Americans like a show, right? Oh no, here come comments. And then place the second layer on top. Now I lay an 8-inch cake pan on top just to help me mark a smaller circle on the top, and then I start to carve. This cake obviously needs to look like a pie, and if you think of the shape of a pie plate, it gets wider at the top and narrower at the bottom. Oh my God, I just thought of something else in this battle. The American cake is gonna get the crumb coat and chill disco song, and the poutine got nada.
You really didn't think this through.
We didn't. I feel like it needs to have a country twang. Crumb coat and chill, y'all.
Yeah, crumb coat and chill, y'all.
Crumb coat and chill, y'all.
Crumb coat and chill, y'all.
We are losing this audience, period. Both countries are like, forget this, and everyone else is like, this is amazing. Once my cake is chilled, I'm gonna ice it once more with my Italian meringue buttercream and put it in the fridge to chill. It's time for fondant. Yep, the American cake also gets fondant. I dyed my fondant the color of pie dough. This was one cake I loved researching. So much more calming Googling pie crust than shark teeth. I'm gonna cover this cake in my pie dough crust colored fondant. I covered it in one piece using a fondant smoother to help me, and then I just trimmed the excess fondant away. I wanted to recreate the look of a disposable tinfoil pie plate. So I took some tinfoil, folded it, and then I folded it kind of accordion style, like back and forth on itself to create basically crumpled up piece of tinfoil that I could now use as my impression mat, and I pressed it all around the sides of the cake into the fondant. You definitely want to do this before you chill your cake so that you can really make an indent. Then I use a sculpting tool all around the sides of the cake just to add more lines and more texture. This cake gets luster dust. The outside of this cake needs to look like tinfoil, so I used some silver highlighter mixed with food grade alcohol and painted the entire surface of the fondant. To really bring out that tinfoil color, after the cake was painted and chilled, I used some silver luster and a dry brush and just went all around the side with one layer. Do you know what time it is? It's showtime. Now that my cake is flipped, it's time to make, this is my favorite part actually of making a real pie, pinching the crust along the edges. To create the pinched pie crust edges on my cake, I rolled 2 tubes of my pie crust colored fondant, about 1/2 inch thick, and then I used my patented pie pinching technique. I don't know why I love it so much, but I really love doing that. I could make a whole channel called How to Pinch It. Pie crust, that is. After I've pinched along one entire tube, I pick it up very carefully and line it up around the top edge of my pie cake. Now I do the same to my other tube and add it to the rest of the top of my pie. Where the two tubes meet, just blend your fondant together, but don't stress, because it's a pie. My sauteed apple wedges are completely cool now, so it's time to place them on top of my cake inside the ring of pinched crust. And we don't want to see any cake through those apples because it's got to look like a pie. You'll notice once you place all your apples on top, there is some juice left in your bowl. Please don't waste it. Spoon it on, your cake will just absorb it. This cake has simple syrup and apple juice.
Well, the Canadian cake had caramel.
You're right, caramel is like caramel. I mean, girl, did you see that caramel? I really wanted to create a lattice pie top for my apple pie. I rolled out the rest of my pie crust colored fondant to 1/8 of an inch thin, and then I cut 1/2 inch strips from it. Basically what you need to do is take these strips and weave them on top of your cake in a crisscross motion, going up and over each strip until your lattice is formed. I'll put the step-by-step instructions on how to do this at howtocakeit.com or in the description below. The next thing I need to do is cut out 3 stars out of my fondant. So Americana. Basically. I didn't put maple leaves on the poutine.
You didn't.
Guys, I'm failing my country. I use a little bit of ivory food coloring mixed with food grade alcohol to paint my pinched pie crust edges and all the lattice and stars to make this pie look like it's hot out of the oven. I, for one, like coarse sugar sprinkled on a pie. So what I did is I used raw sugar, tossed in a little bit of cinnamon, and sprinkled it onto my pie cake.
Perfect. Is the cake done?
No. I called in my friend Bernie. Bernie's American, actually.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, Bernie's American, and he helped me brulee the fondant a little. He did. I bruleed the lattice, I bruleed all around the outside of the pie and then across each strip of lattice just a little till I saw the fondant sizzle. And now this pie is done. If you haven't subscribed to How to Cake It, please subscribe, and most importantly, leave a comment below and let me know who you think won this red, white, and cake off. Was it Yolanda for the Canadian team with her poutine cake, or Yolanda for the American team with her hot apple pie cake? Not only did I compete for both countries in this red, white, and cake off, I'm the judge. It's a hard job. I'm not going to tell anyone this, but I really actually like the American cake more. Don't use that!
You just told everybody you watched.
Don't use that, Jocelyn. You two will be unpatriotic if you use it. And you too, Orhan.
It's almost like you purposely made the American one better, Yolanda.
I did not.
I don't trust you.
And it has nothing to do with the fact that we have a bigger American audience. Canada. Do we need to make the subscribe button look like this and then you'll hit it? I mean, it's even red and white. Fellow Canadians, please subscribe. Let's put it right here, the Canadian subscribe button. Oh, it looks good. Can't we all just get along? We the North, you the not as North. Is that like, do they carry flags that say that?